You know, some people wake up on a Saturday and worry about missing brunch, or if the neighbor's dog is going to mess up their flower beds again. Me. I woke up that morning thinking the wildest thing I'd deal with was my ancient lawnmower blowing another gasket. Then, like straight out of a fever dream, 4 SUVs and a minivan roll up to my curb looking for all the world like a parade of bored suburbanites who'd gotten lost on the way to a bake sale. I'll never forget it, sun. Just blinding enough to sting your eyes. The smell of fresh-cut grass stuck in your throat. Sweat already pooling at the small of my back. I was maybe halfway through mowing, earbuds and Credence blaring when the show started. One moment I'm humming along, next there's movement past the mailbox doors opening, people stepping out with the determination of an army raid. And leading them strutting up my driveway like she owned the county was Karen. Yeah, that kind of Karen. Linen blazer, wedge heels, a face set like she was about to win a medal. You ever met someone so committed to their version of the rules they invent new ones just for you? That was her, queen of the HOA, self-appointed protector of community standards. Never mind, my house sat on its own little slice, not under her kingdom's thumb. She just couldn't stand it. You might think this was all a misunderstanding, some kind of paperwork mix-up. Nope. She walks right up, all cold politeness, glancing at her watch. "Oh, you're still here," she says, "like I'm late to my own eviction. You had until last night at 1 a.m. to vacate." I nearly laughed, except it wasn't funny. My mouth was dry, palms slick on the mower handle. The hell I did, I shot back. "We discussed this." She insists, her voice sharp enough to slice a tomato. She pulls out a piece of paper, waves it like it's the 10 Commandments, and starts rambling about articles and bylaws and forfeiture notices. Supposedly my property had become community development land because I didn't file some usage declaration. I told her as calmly as I could she was trespassing. One more step on my grass, I'd be calling the sheriff. Didn't stop her. Didn't stop the realtor either, a guy in a suit so tight I could see his breakfast, wearing a plastic smile. "Thanks for your cooperation, Mr. Bowen," he says, like I'm about to help them sell my not-for-sale house. Behind him, 2 buyers with the look of Dallas money started circling my deck. I've seen vultures with more shame. You know what's wild? For a second, I actually doubted myself. Maybe I missed a letter, maybe I forgot a form. But then I remembered I pay my taxes. I bought this land outright, state auction 6 years back. Tomatoes in the backyard, mortgage long gone. Mine. I could feel the blood pumping in my ears, anger, disbelief, maybe even a little fear. But mostly I felt this stubborn, stupid sense of not today. I called the sheriff, 6 strangers in my yard claiming it's for sale. Send someone fast. Karen's crowd fanned out, buyers poking at siding, measuring windows. I slammed my gate shut, told everyone to get off or wait for the cops. For the first time, Karen looked rattled. "This is highly inappropriate," she stammered. I told her what's inappropriate is showing up to a man's house with a real estate sign and a pile of lies. The tension was thick. You could practically smell the caffeine and desperation. Now, you ever get that feeling when the cavalry shows up? For me, it was when the sheriff's cruiser rolled up and out stepped Deputy Lamb. We'd crossed paths before he was a straight shooter, a real Texas lawman. He looked around, took in the scene, and just said, "Morning, Jarrett. What's going on here?" Karen tried to talk over me, waving her folder. "This is an HOA matter," she snapped, full president mode. "Mr. Bowen was given notice. This land is now communal property." Deputy Lamb took the paperwork, flipped through it, then raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, these are private HOA documents. Nothing from the county, nothing official. You got a transfer deed?" Karen sputtered about community-level filings and ratification in process. The deputy didn't buy it. I handed him my deed, my tax receipt from 3 days back, the whole paper trail. He read it over, nodded, and said, "Paid, registered, occupied. That's about as far from abandonment as it gets." Then he looked at Karen and her crew. "You folks are trespassing. Time to leave." The realtor turned white as drywall mud. Karen tried to muster a threat. "You'll be hearing from our attorney," but you could see the wind had gone out of her sails. The buyers shuffled off, nobody wanting to make eye contact. Engines started up and the whole show pulled away except for Karen, who hissed, "This is harassment. You'll regret this." I just smiled, leaning close so only she could hear. "Try another stunt like this, you'll be regretting it from a cell with no AC." For a heartbeat, she flinched. Then she pulled her mask back on and left. Now I know what you're thinking, problem solved, right? Not even close. That night I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, just this nagging feeling that Karen wasn't done. Next morning I was camped in front of the county office with a thermos ready to dig for answers. The clerk, a tired guy named Elliot, barely blinked when I told him what I was looking for. 10 minutes later, he handed me my file clean except for a new document I'd never seen. Something called a Notice of Non-Usage and Abandonment from Karen's HOA filed 2 weeks earlier, flagged unauthorized and not ratified. Downstairs, I found Lynn, a zoning officer sharp enough to slice cheese. She remembered my property, called it the little slice between the bluffs. She showed me the memos. My land wasn't and never had been under HOA control. But get this, Karen's group had tried to annex it twice, both times rejected. The kicker: internal notes target for eventual acquisition. They actually wrote that. By now I was angry and getting organized. Called my lawyer Sandra. She's the kind of woman who can scare a pit bull with a stare. I wanted to sue. She said, "Send me everything." Within an hour she calls back. Turns out I wasn't the only one. 2 other homeowners nearby had gotten similar fake notices. One sold under pressure. One still fighting in court. That's when I realized this wasn't about my lawn or my tomatoes. This was bigger. A system, a pipeline. Fake notices, fake board votes, flipping houses through a friendly realtor before the owner even knows what hit them. Sandra called it systemic fraud. If we could tie Karen to the documents, the DA might have to step in. That night I printed 2 signs: private property, not for sale, not HOA jurisdiction, and trespassers will be prosecuted. I didn't care if it looked paranoid. I wasn't just protecting my home, I was guarding it from being erased by paperwork. Sandra moved fast, pulling every document, every filing, every meeting minute. The more we dug, the uglier it got. The so-called HOA board that voted to seize my place didn't exist. Names were made up, no addresses, no voter records, signatures all in the same font, the same computer created the same day. Then we found the smoking gun zoning permits filed and rejected, then my property listed in a silent auction notice signed by Karen days later. Sandra just shook her head. They tried to auction your house like it was a repo boat. I called Deputy Lem, filed a complaint for fraud. Got in touch with a local reporter who covered HOA abuse. When she showed up, I laid out everything: deed, fake docs, the whole scheme. She was shocked. "This is racketeering dressed in beige," she said. That news segment blew up. Comments, phone calls, people coming out of the woodwork with their own stories. One older woman said her shed had been bulldozed for community use. A neighbor, Carl, showed me a letter claiming he'd abandoned rights to his own driveway. Sandra went to court for an injunction, stopped all HOA sales transfers, everything within a quarter mile. Karen got served the next morning. You should have seen her face. But she kept pushing, sending some guy to my fence to take pictures, prepping for another grab. I handed him a copy of the injunction he left without another word. Then came the twist: a whistleblower, Dana, a former HOA accountant. She had proof-altered budgets, fake invoices, a schedule labeled Phase 1 transitional occupancy. My parcel, Phase 1. That's when I knew this was organized. Sandra sent it all to the DA. Within a day, 2 investigators were at my door. We spent hours going through footage, documents, signatures. They told me another HOA in the next county was running the same scam with the same realtor. By that afternoon, a judge froze all real estate transfers for the HOA and its board. Karen lost her mind, sent a fake security officer to my place, tried to post violation notices. I just held up the restraining order. "Back off or this'll end your career." He scurried off, red-faced. We kept digging: Dana, Carl, Sandra, me, building a full timeline. Dana confessed Karen ran the board like a little kingdom. Fake elections, ghost voters, expulsions for anyone who asked too many questions. Then another twist: a lawyer for one of Karen's buyers called. His client learned the house wasn't even for sale. Not only did he bail, but he filed a complaint against the realtor. Karen panicked, tried to disappear, but the law was faster. U.S. Marshals picked her up trying to cross into Louisiana. By Friday, she was in a holding cell, no bail, 8 felony counts hanging over her head. The emergency hearing was a formality. The judge looked at the evidence, then at Karen in cuffs. Ruled my land was never part of the HOA. Everything voided, board put under state supervision. Karen's assets, frozen, buyers launching lawsuits of their own. That moment outside the courthouse, sun beating down, news vans rolling away, I finally felt the weight lift. I wasn't just mowing my lawn anymore. I'd cracked open a whole rotten system, one fake document at a time. After that, things happened fast. City workers tore down all the illegal signs, realtor banners, even the temporary gate Karen had installed. The real estate company lost its license. The state seized Karen's bank accounts, found she'd been siphoning funds for years, over $700,000 gone. Her trial came quick. Her own board flipped on her to save themselves. The jury didn't need much convincing. She got 15 years. No parole. Real estate fraud, forgery, conspiracy. I was there for the verdict. She never looked at me. Didn't need her to. Justice had a way of speaking for itself. I put up a new fence iron, 12 feet cameras every post. Not out of fear, but because I was done letting people treat my home like an opportunity. Hung a copper sign right at the gate. This is not your HOA's backyard. Trespassers will face federal charges. People still slow down, gawking, maybe remembering, maybe just curious. Doesn't matter. This land isn't for sale, isn't up for discussion. Me. You'll find me out front every Saturday at 9 a.m. Shorts and tank top, mowing my own damn grass, just a stubborn guy defending his little patch of Texas. And if you're wondering, yeah, I learned something. Sometimes you have to fight not just for what's yours, but for everyone too tired or scared to push back. Sometimes justice takes the shape of a paper trail and a stubborn refusal to quit. But let me ask you, how far should someone be allowed to go just because they have a clipboard and a nice blazer? Where's the line between community and outright theft? Tell me, have you ever had to stand up to a bully with a fancy title? Share your story. I bet I'm not alone.